Welcome to another edition of Weather and Climate Chat with Dr. Michael Davis and Monsoon Mike Regensberger for February 5th. Dr. Davis, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Yep. So had kind of an interesting week. We lost a lot of our snowpack thanks to some pretty warm temperatures and a lot of rain.
And that wicked fog we had Wednesday night.
Oh man, I was getting reports into the radio station. Somebody out on I-78 who fortunately was in the passenger seat. He let me know that he wasn't driving as he was calling me. Said he could not see a car length in front of him. And a lot of that, Dr. Davis, had to do with the melting snow, right?
Yeah, you had the warmer temperatures.
Right.
Because the temperature, I believe, on Wednesday was in the upper 50s, generally around this
Actually,
area.
in Auburn, where I live, I guess because I was protected in my little valley, I only made it to 49. But you just had to go on the other side of the mountain, and we were in the mid-50s. Yeah,
when you start getting into hills and mountains around this area, you can get drastic change in temperature. But with the warmer temperatures and the rain that was falling, the snowpack essentially helped to cool the air that was directly above the snowpack, and you had saturation, or the air holding as much water vapor as it could hold, right pretty much over that snowpacked area, and we had just this really thick fog as a result. You're getting that 2-3 feet of snow pretty much instantaneously melting.
Yeah, it reminded me sort of like if you remember old childhood cartoons, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, when they were, Rudolph was getting his job to work for Santa, and they were, the little elf said, the fog is thicker than pea soup, and Rudolph was like, no, it's thicker than peanut butter. It was almost like peanut butter fog.
You eat what you like, I'll eat what I like.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was like peanut butter fog out there on Wednesday. It was nasty. And also all the melting, so I ran into lots of ponding on roads too, and it was just a nasty day.
And there's a lot of yards now that I can see.
Yeah, I know. My yard, I have grass to walk on now, which is great. It was easy taking the trash out last night because trash night's Thursday night where we live, and last week I was trudging through piles of snow. This week it was easy, so definitely lost a lot of snow, but there's still some out there. And so they'll hang around a little longer.
And the potential for some more snow next week?
We'll get to that. Yeah, potential for more snow next week, which snow fans want to hear and non-snow fans don't want to hear. But
unless you're in New Jersey this afternoon on
Yeah,
Friday.
we should mention that sneaky little storm. It's sort of, I guess you could call it a sneaky little side blow type storm. We saw it on the maps all week, but in yesterday and the day prior, there were some trends that, looks like this precipitation could be sneaking up a little further north than expected, which coincidentally, or not so coincidentally, was also the same thing this last storm did, wound up last minute coming a little further north. So I don't know if that's a trend this winter or not. Didn't really affect us at all, just a couple flurries I heard reported. But South Jersey, my cousin in Medford, if anybody knows where that is, about 2 or 3 inches. So
and then southeastern Pennsylvania, I think they got like maybe an inch.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia, like South Philly, I think the airport had 0.9. I have to look at the number, but they had enough to measure.
It's a far cry from the 32 inches Kutztown got.
That is very true. And I have a friend who's a meteorologist up in the Scranton area, and they're still sitting at like 4.8 for the whole season. So how bizarre is that? That Scranton hasn't even got to a half foot yet.
It's been a very strange winter.
It's been a very strange winter. So that storm snuck off to the east last night and this morning, and now we're just left with a pretty seasonal weekend. Partly sunny, cool conditions. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, the temperatures in low, mid-40s.
Yep.
Looks like sunny skies. You don't really have to worry about any sort of rain or snow in the near future, at least this weekend.
Okay, so enjoy your weekend, folks. Get out and do what you got to do, because we do have a little incident of sort coming early next week. Monday looks dry. From this point, but Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, what do we got? It looks like kind of a complex system.
There's a big trough in the jet stream that's going to be developing over the eastern United States, and that's going to be pretty much giving us the threat of some snow. Okay. The Great Lakes region looks like they're going to get some snow out of this, and it could go even as far south as Tennessee. And that snowfall may or may not get to us, because right now, across the Central Plains, we have a weak system that is diving to our south that's going to potentially be swinging past our area later on Saturday, Sunday, but looks like it's going to avoid us and head out to sea. But I have a feeling that system is going to pretty much sap most of the atmosphere of moisture, so when this system comes in, it's not really going to have anything to go with it.
Right.
But if that storm wasn't there, I think we'd be looking at potential for a
monster.
big bomb of the storm, but I don't really think the atmospheric dynamics are there, not just quite yet.
So you can thank that particular atmospheric setup that we're not going to get, puked on with snow, as my one friend says.
But now if that storm were,
Yeah.
say, weaken or slow down,
Right.
then we might get something a little bit more dramatic out of that system.
And we should mention, and this is something that meteorologists and weather gurus sometimes do, that this Tuesday, Wednesday time frame is a slightly lower than average confidence. It is open to change. Let's just put it that way.
There's three big pieces of energy,
Yeah.
and the first one's already in the Northeast, and that's what's giving it the snows to a place like New England,
Yep.
I think, up into upstate New York, into Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. They were getting 4 to 8 inches today. You got the snow that's occurring in New Jersey. You have this little system across the Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas area.
Yes.
And the other one out in the Pacific Northwest right now. And it's all, how are these systems going to interact as they start moving eastward?
So that's what makes it such a difficult forecast. So if everything goes as planned, what we think is going to happen right now, it looks like a fairly light but potentially extended period of annoying nuisance type snow from Monday night-ish to Wednesday-ish right now, it looks
Yes.
like. Yeah.
It's more of a nuisance type
Right.
storms, as you mentioned. I don't expect us to get pelted with snow. I think we make it an inch, maybe a couple inches.
Yeah.
At this point, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But nothing really to write home about.
Right. And this is also getting to be the time of year as well, too, especially with the warmer weather that we just experienced and with temperatures being in the 40s this weekend, where we might see more accumulate on like colder surfaces like grass and trees than we would on pavement.
At the Climate Prediction Center's
Yeah.
saying that February is going to be above average for
Right.
us temperature-wise, and for the next 3 months we're going to be above average as well. So that would be February, March, and April.
I saw our friends at AccuWeather are already out with their spring forecast, and they're going pretty aggressive that it's looking like a pretty early and swift warm-up.
Perhaps the groundhog was right after
Perhaps the
all.
groundhog was right. That's right. We should last time we did this that he had yet to do his thing, and this we can now say that he did not see his
Did
shadow,
not
and he's
see his shadow.
forecasting an early spring. So
Yes.
he might be onto something. Even a stopped clock is right
Well,
twice a day.
the next day we had the heavy rains and,
And it
the
was
temperatures in the 60s, near
yeah,
60.
50s and 60s, absolutely. So yeah, there you go. You might be onto something this year. We'll see. So we have that nuisance system right now, looking 1, 2, 3 inches, not major, but subject to change, and we'll watch it.
Yeah, the models like the NAM, for example, don't go out that far
Right.
yet, so we're kind of flying a little bit blind. We have to rely on more longer
Longer range
models,
models,
such as the GFS for this sort of thing. So a lot can change.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens because there's still a long way to go. I was going to ask you about the rest of February, but you just kind of answered it. Climate Prediction Center going with above average temperatures. Doesn't
And-
look like far above average, but slightly above average.
And did you see below average precipitation?
Below average precipitation. So for snow fans, that doesn't bode well. But hey, we already had our fun in January, so I guess we can't be too greedy.
Yeah, and a lot of locations already have their yearly
Right.
Snowfall.
But I would like our
average.
friends up in Scranton who are snow deprived to get at least one something. So
Yeah. Well, we'll send it all up to the north.
We'll work it out so that Scranton and Wilkes-Barre can get something before it's all over. Okay, so there you go. Something else big happening between now and Tuesday, Wednesday. I purposely skipped over it. Now we're going to go back. Super Bowl. So your Super Bowl parties, if you're staying local to this area, look fine. I remember back in, what year was it? 2000, I believe. There was a mini snowstorm in this area. You probably weren't in the area at that point, but it caused a lot of havoc from folks getting to and from parties. This year looks fine. Like we said, partly sunny, 40s. Evening should be fine. How's the Super Bowl itself, where it's happening, looking, Dr. Davis?
There's a big ridge sitting across the western U.S., so
Okay.
the weather looks pretty nice across California. Super Bowl's in San Francisco this year.
Right.
So most of that moisture is going to be going out toward the Pacific Northwest, riding up along the ridge. So looks like pleasant weather for San Francisco.
So kickoff temperatures, have you looked that up?
I will admit I have not,
Okay.
but
All right.
it looks pretty
Seasonal.
Seasonal, I'd say, which I believe is around upper 50s, low 60s.
This time of year, I think
out
upper
there
50s,
for
low
San
60s is
Francisco.
pretty average for San Francisco. So maybe a light jacket type weather if anybody out there is lucky enough to be going to the Super Bowl. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Take me with you.
Yeah, exactly. Just getting off the weather for a second, we got to have a little bit of fun here. Who you think's going to win this one? Who are you favoring?
I don't really know.
Okay.
To tell you the truth, my Browns have never been to a Super Bowl, so I don't even know what that tastes like.
I'm a Carolina fan of sorts. I have relatives in Carolina, and I just like their team a lot. They've only been to one Super Bowl in the past, which they lost, 2004. So I think this is going to be their time. I think so. So I'm going with Panthers.
I'm just hoping for a good game.
Yeah, that's what most people care about. It's Peyton Manning. It's probably going to be his last game. Everybody's saying that because he's getting up there in years. So either way, I think it's going to be good. Good game.
I hope so.
And that's what the advertisers hope for, because if it's a blowout, then everybody turns it off and people lose money. So we don't want that to happen now, do we?
Unlike last time Denver was in the Super Bowl when they got demolished by Seattle.
That's right. So we'll see what happens. So good. So good weather all around. Good weather here if you're staying here for the parties. Good weather out west if you're going to the Super Bowl. Just an all around pretty reasonable Super Bowl. But Super Bowls haven't always been so reasonable. We were looking up some history of Super Bowl weather problems in the past, and 2007 I think you said when it was down in Miami.
Yeah, Miami when Indianapolis beat Chicago,
right, and
Peyton won his first Super Bowl. They had the record rainiest Super Bowl. They had about 0.93 inches of precipitation that fell during that time.
So they usually try to have these Super Bowls in climates that they think are going to be fairly benign, and that year it didn't work out. Miami got dumped on.
And then the NFL championship in 1967,
right,
with the Ice Bowl.
Yep, a lot of older folks talk about that one still. And a couple of years back when they decided to have it in New York, I know there was concerns because, oh my gosh, we're doing it in a cold climate. We're taking a chance. And then sure enough, I think there was one or two models that implied that there was going to be snow for that Super Bowl, and people were freaking out. What are we going to do? But it turned out being nothing, and everything was fine. So,
and it opens the door for their northern expansion of the Super Bowl.
There you go.
Maybe Boston. Maybe I think Minnesota's hosting one, but they're going to have an indoor stadium.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're going to do it in that kind of climate, you better be an indoor stadium because you're taking big chances. Even Boston would be kind of a chance this time of year as well, too. But, it would make things memorable, that's for sure.
Maybe my Browns will make a Super Bowl at one
of these days.
Year.
One of these days it'll happen, right? So, so there we have it, folks. I guess we can cut it by now. We're just about almost 15 minutes. So just in recap, rainy, warm week, this nice, quiet, benign weekend, for both East and West for the Super Bowl. Next week, we watch around Tuesday, Wednesday for some light snow. Nothing major, but some nuisance slickness on the roads. Look out for. And then long-term prediction is a fairly slightly above average February. So...
yeah, so I think we're going to be in for fairly tranquil conditions the next couple of days, and then possibly a disturbance coming through early next week.
Sounds good. All right, so just reminding everybody, you can find me on Facebook, Monsoon Mike's Weather Headquarters, and you, sir, where can we find you?
Dr. Michael Davis's Weather Forecasts.
And you're going to work on trying getting us a couple of guests pretty soon from your
I'm trying.
department? Okay.
Or not from my department. We'll see.
Well, okay, wherever. That's fine. All right, we'll see you next week, folks.
Bye.